Alright, fellas, here we're back at Pokemon Masters, and we got ourselves Arcsuit, Steven, and Metagross here for the 1 out of 5 6-star EX Showcase. Steven is one of these characters that 100% wants his EX roll at any move level possible. It does not matter what move level he wants it, because it's support, right? He's the one character, like, in this game, pretty much for the most part, that is, like, I'm not gonna say mandatory to have his EX roll to do what he wants to do, because he straight up just doesn't need it to do everything that he wants to do. But it really does help, and it really actually provides him like what he's meant to do, because he's a support, right? Support EX roll provides support EX, and it also buffs his defensive stats. Well, I just never did that for the showcase, and I kind of regret it because I really just ended up not being able to do quite a bit of what I wanted to do, simply because I did not have the support EX roll. That was the one thing that was pretty much holding me back. Also, I just never ended up gridding him. It was like, I noticed it immediately, but I just never went back through and actually gridded him. Probably should. You know, these stats would have helped a little bit, you know, not having the EX roll and all that junk, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not really that worried about it. Either way, whatever. 6-star X Steven, 1 out of 5. His kit's still really stupidly good. Like, he does not need dupes or EX roll to actually have a really cracked kit. He's got a Churna move, which raises allies' attack by 6, and uses a max of 3 gauge slots to buff ally crit of up to +3, and he also gives allies sync moves next by up to 3. Combine that with, like, Arcsuit Cynthia, and woohoo, let's cook. All right, like, you know, that's a lot of sync moves up next, right? He's got potions for healing. He's got Iron Head for damage plus a 30% flinch chance, and he does actually have offensive stats, right? He's got 386 attack, 424 after Mega Evolution. Better than his defensive stats, funnily enough, right? But of course, the X roll changes that when you do actually have to invest it. And his defensive stats are good too: 359 defenses, and then 394 whenever he Mega Evolves. That's really strong. Obviously, level 150, and again, the X roll does help that out more. And you'll see that in the 6-star EX 3 out of 5 the X roll showcase. But that's whatever. And then, of course, the buddy move here, which lowers enemy defenses by 2 and raises allies' defenses by 2. So defense debuffing and buffing at the same time. And then, of course, he's got the Arcsuit passives here, you know, with the powering up moves, the more steel allies are on the team, and damage reduction 2, and of course the double steel rebuff. He's got himself this passive here, which applies endurance to all allies, applies free moves next when he uses his attack move, and buffs ally physical moves next when his attack move is successful. So obviously he's very physical leaning in terms of offensive buffs, with the physical moves next very effectively replacing Argenta in pretty much any steel team, unless you want to double up, which is honestly probably not a bad idea. I do actually have an idea I want to kind of test out with that, by doubling up on Argenta with Steven. Food for thought. Anyway. He's also got himself the passive here that gives crit protection, sandstorm protection, and downside up. Yeah, all in one, right? Those debuff immunities really does help him quite a bit. Like, if he's going to be debuffed by like his speed or whatever, or like evasion or accuracy, being able to buff it back is really useful. So he's got effectively stat debuff immunity, which is awesome. And then Trash Tank, which restores HP when he's hit by a move, which is great on its own. But then when he Mega Evolves, it becomes Team Trash Tank, so the healing is even better there. Yeah, okay. So he's got healing, you know, great defensive buffs, great defensive debuffs, solid damage, solid enhancement with physical moves next, and the steel rebuff, and the steel master passive, right, or Arcsuit passive. And then he's also got this, just to top it all off, on the sync move he has Synchro Healing, restoring all HP by 20%. And of course it's a repeatable sync move if you do want to use it, right? So you can use it for a little bit of damage and then, you know, primarily healing, which is really good in scenarios like the Legendary Gauntlet, and it's even, with his amazing sustainability already, it's not bad to make work either in like ultimate battles in some instances. So yeah, Steven, pretty good. This is a pretty damn good kit. My only issue is that I really just wish he had support EX, so sadly did not invest the EX roll, which just kind of botched the showcase a little bit, but I wanted to go ahead and get it out so I could go on and get to the 3 out of 5 EX roll showcase. I think that's just going to be a lot better for me, so whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop into these battles and see what Steven's able to do. Alright, so first battle here was against Reg Steel. I just went ahead and opted to go, you know what, I know this guy can do a lot of Legendary Arena Souls in 1 out of 5. I figured the best one to show off first would probably be Reg Steel, simply because it shows actual usage in the raising of his own steel rebuff, because of course that's one of the aspects of Arcsuit Synchros, right, is that they're able to raise their own rebuff of their type, and that obviously is useful, right? But you don't tend to see much usage of it outside of like the high score event or whatever, simply because you can face, of course, enemies that are of your own type, but more than likely you're not going to, right? You know, there's a 1 out of like 18 chance of that. It really just depends on the fight. In Cynthia's case, you know, you can definitely see it against like the Nita Ultimate battle, where of course she uses ground attacks and the ground rebuff raise is useful here, useful there. But in Steven's case, of course, being good here against Reg Steel, his defensive profile against Reg Steel is just increased even more. You know, he's already a really good defensive unit, be able to buff his defenses, apply good consistent healing, good damage, you know, whatever, all that good stuff. But then he's got pretty much free 30% damage reduction on top of it without even running like Steel Guard or whatever, because he's got that Steel rebuff raise on himself, which is good. And obviously a lot of Steven's great prowess in the Legendary Arena does come from his good defensive profile, you know, good bulk stats, good healing, the flinch chances on Iron Head, all that junk, right? But it also comes from him being a character with those aspects that can also do damage. Right, because a lot of big battles in Legendary Arenas may be stopped because you need to sustain for way too long without doing too much damage. That can legitimately happen to some characters, right? Especially like lower tier supports. And that's probably why a lot of them don't get as many souls as they do, is because obviously they can't really put out too much damage, their sustainability doesn't last long enough, and then they go down. Steven doesn't have that problem because he's got an offensive stat, he's got an offensive powered move, and then if you invest in him, he's got obviously Furious Brawn and Haymaker. On top of also, you know, double steel rebuff on bar 1, right? So Steven doesn't face the same problem of like having to have the battle last a half hour, because he can actually do damage, as we can tell here, right? And of course he does have like some gimmick check stuff, like obviously the flinches are nice just for straight up damage immunity, but they could be potentially useful in some sort of stage that has like acute senses. I think that's only Yuxi, and it doesn't really help out there. Frankly, it doesn't really matter there either. But he does have like the defensive debuffs, which is good for Latias and Reg Steel, which are the 2 Legendary Arenas I opted to do in this video for solos. Also because they were stupidly easy, man. It's crazy. And then I think he's got like obviously like rebuff, I think is helpful in some areas. I can't really... It would just be Yuxi again, wouldn't it? Of course it is. Whatever. Fucking Yuxi. Screw Yuxi. I hate that stupid yellow fucking headed thing. Oh, Yuxi's a bum. Anyway, point being, a lot of Steven's greatness here comes from great sustainability from being a supportive character, but then actually being able to do sufficient damage and not like have any of his healing like peter out towards the end, or any of his damage peter out, right? Like the only thing you really have to worry about is some legendaries, you like a potion check in some aspects, right? But even like other than that, it's maybe like a flinch check in some of them, but even then, not really. Like Steven's just super consistent. Like I'm sure there's obviously stages that really would prefer him get a lot more flinches, right? But most stages probably just don't care. Like he just probably does not really care at all about like what the enemy really wants. Like in Reg Steel's case here, it's got both of its defensive stats raised. Steven still does not care about the damage it does. He heals back whatever HP with recuperation and the triage tank, and then he also has, you know, those 30% flinch chances, which will activate occasionally and then keep the enemy from moving again. And he takes a Giga Impact here for like 21% damage, man. Like what? that's kind of the point that I'm getting at here. Like again, Steven's sustainability combined with damage just does not... He's so effective at clearing these bars that the enemies don't really have time to like build sync buffs, where like sometimes when you're trying to build sync buffs on different bars, you know, the enemies sink a ton, they get a lot of damage, and then it gets too much to handle. Steven just doesn't face that issue. He just bar wipes pretty damn fast before they can actually build up damage, and all of the damage he does take can be easily recovered by triage tank and synchro healing. So yeah, in that regard, Steven's pretty strong and pretty damn good. Let's just cut the slack. He's the best. He's probably the single best character in the game for Legendary Arenas. Like, I don't think there's much competition. Alright, here we are for a bit to showcase, obviously, you know, his Steel enhancement. This is where Support EX would have been really helpful, because you would have got Support EX, right? This is the double sync buffs. Oh well, doesn't really matter that much. We use double Slugolay along with Metagross here. This new Lily is cracked, man. Like this Lily is if we're not really considering support, it's probably the best character, probably free-to-play character in the game. Like, she's got great sustainability with her potions and whatnot, pretty solid damage too, sprint function, you know, steal zone, all that good jazz. She's just good. I really do like this Lily. Anyway, here obviously Steven's able to apply the Steel Arc Suit passive buff, right, with the 30% power buff and 26% damage reduction for the whole team being Steel. He's able to apply double Steel rebuff for a 50% power up for ally Steel damage. He's of course got the defensive debuffs here as well. The team's, you know, the sustainability with the defensive buffs and the potions and yada yada, all that junk. Lil is able to apply the Steel Zone, so we've got Steel Zone plus Steel rebuff. Very, very solid there, of course. You know, any more limited option, you can replace Lily with, like, you know, Costume Celine or Marnie or whatever. And I mean, obviously, clearly works pretty well. Jeez, man, I love this. This is crazy. Obviously, I didn't get to buff Steven's crit all the way because I just didn't need to. Lily and the main character can already buff their crit and crit very easily, so I just wanted to have enough gauge to be able to do the things that I needed, because that's one thing that is an issue with Steven, is that his gauge efficiency is not great. For himself, it's great, right? Like 3 moves next, you know, he doesn't really use gauge, but for the team, he doesn't really apply much, frankly, at all, right? He doesn't have speed buffs, he doesn't have, like, gauge refresh or anything like that. Oh, he might have gauge refresh at 1 out of 5, right? But, like, nothing that's really going to be taking away the issues of using like Rose or someone, a 4 gauge Steel user that has pretty low speed as is, that also lowers his own speed actively. So that's one problem you'll probably face with Steven, is that he does not have a great method of buffing gauge, and that's definitely one aspect that Rosa and Champion Blue have over him, and it's gauge management. But other than that, like, really, really good enhancement. Alright, and here we are for Latias. I just figured I'd go ahead and pop on Latias as well, because Steven with 1 out of 5, this is why I say he's the best legendary arena in the game. At 1 out of 5 and varying levels of investment via be 20 out of 20 or EX or whatever, Steven can solo every single legendary arena in the game. That is a far cry from like what any other character can do. The next highest character, I think, or the character that has the next least amount of investment required for all of its solos, besides Steven, is probably Thunderbolt Red, where he has 3 solos that require 3 out of 5 EX, and a lot of them also require the EX scroll. Where Steven, all of them require 1 out of 5 except for Moltres, Terrakion, and Tornadus, all of which are so far requiring 20 out of 20. Of course, it's still the less than 24 hours since Steven released, so we're probably going to at some point get to where we're just seeing Steven with 1 out of 5, and that's it. Like, no 5-star power-up investment. That, or we're going to start going to, like, lower levels. Like, alright, fellas, a level 1 Steven can solo Latios' legendary. Good lord, imagine. That's crazy. Yeah, so at the very least, if you're pretty big into playing the Legendary Gauntlet or some crap, Steven's a great character. Really, really good character. The single best character for that game mode, I would say undisputedly. I mean, if you want to apply arguments in the chat, go for it. Or comments, go for it. But it's so stupid nuts. I love it. But even outside of, like, the Legendary Arena here, Steven's so damn good. He, of course, I think does really prefer more investment in a lot of other modes, right? Like 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. I don't really think 5 out of 5 matters that much, but like at least 4 out of 5 investment. Steven obviously gains a lot of better usage, and the EX roll is really good for him as well. Which is why I honestly am just trying to get this 1 out of 5 showcase over with, at least in some, like, respectable fashion. I mean, 2 Legendary Arena Solos is relatively impressive of some quote-unquote decently difficult arenas. It's not like I'm doing Moltres or anything. I'm good. I don't care to go to the flinch cheese there. Not actually, I really haven't looked at it, so I could have probably done it, but lazy. That's just how things are here. Anyway, whatever. I didn't really have too much time to actually pre-record all of the footage for Steven, which is why this is probably coming out so late, is because I was super busy today. We had a lot of events going on, so I had to be pretty much on alert the whole time and wasn't able to record anything, but that's not really the point. Anyway. So, obviously the reason Steven can even do Latios as well as he can is because of the defensive debuffs, plus obviously being able to debuff evasion, right? One of the best things is that Mud Slap that would normally just completely pwn, like, not 90% of runs, obviously, but, like, would be so annoying to deal with for a lot of runs, because -1 accuracy, you basically just miss every single move on top of Latios being able to buff its evasion by +3. Steven instead raises his accuracy because of the downside up, which is one of the quite good amount of instances where the downside up is just like really clutch, right? And I adore it for that. It's awesome. I really do love it. I love the Stevens all having downside up, other than, you know, well, okay, half of them don't have it. How many Stevens do we have, actually? Wait. Is it 6 Stevens or 7? I would have to think. Metagross, Lodge, Sandslash, Deoxys, Rayquaza. Am I missing one? I might be missing one. I don't know, actually. Anyway, whatever. I love all the Stevens having downside up. It's really helpful. And of course that also applies to, like, in a solo it doesn't really matter too much, but if you find a stage that like debuffs speed or whatever, and the fact that Steven can buff speed, that's really good. Simply because obviously again he doesn't have any big method of like gauge efficiency for the team, so at least even being able to have his own speed be buffed is at least helpful in that regard. Though you also got to consider if the whole team's getting speed debuffed, let's just assume it's the whole team, like by Icy Wind or whatever, or Bulldoze, that, you know, obviously you have two characters that are getting speed debuffed unless they've got a way of speed debuff mitigation, whereas Steven's of course able to buff his speed, so in that regard, could be not that clutch, but whatever. I mean, point being is that downside up is legitimately quite useful, especially because it also shuts down Latios here in the instance of where it tries to debuff defense, special defense early on in the battle. Steven again just doesn't care, right? He doesn't care. He just buffs it back, or not buffs it back, but he just is immune to the debuffing. It's awesome. Also, did you see him take that stored power? That was pretty good tanking for a stored power. my lord. Again, the point of why Steven's probably so good in these legendary arenas is just because the enemies don't have much time to really build up and enhance their damage that much, because Steven's just able to defeat them so fast. Like, this is the farthest Latios can get to defeating Steven, simply because obviously she builds up her buffs and fluid fortification does a lot of the, you know, heavy lifting there. But Steven still is not carrying, right? Like, I could have easily won this battle without using a potion, but I went ahead and just did it instead, just so I could not go through the next, you know, how many minutes is this? That doesn't tell me anything. Point being, whatever, like 5 minutes, whatever, I think it's been about doing this Latios solo. I didn't want to go through that again, so I just used the potion. You didn't even have to, though, so. Oh, it's so funny. I love this character already, man. Without having invested into him yet with the EX roll and the level, the 3 out of 5, level 150, whatever, I really just do love running this character. It's so funny. Bye, Latios. That was funny. Yeah, again, Steven's just gotta be the best character in the game for legendary arena solos. Like, I can't really see any other character even having an argument. The fact he's able to do it at such low investment means a lot, and the fact that it's so easy even at higher investment just, oh boy, yeah, my goat. And to end things off here, just wanted to have a little bit of fun. Double Steven. Double Steven doing a legendary. It's not, what the fuck? He clearly doesn't need that. Champion stage, yeah. I mean, this is just showing that obviously Steven can act perfectly fine as, like, the main damage dealer in some type of content, right? Like, I'll probably do us a little bit more with the Threat of 5 showcase of making Steven look like the main damage dealer on a Champion Stadium team. Because, I mean, like, despite the fact that, like, his damage is pretty solid, it's mostly solid for, like, Champion Stadium standards, not really, like, anything else. And obviously it's good for Legendary Gauntlet. The fact that he can do any damage at all is really good for that mode as is. Duh. Point being, though, obviously, I mean, he's got damage potential, right? Especially being Steel type. He's able to lower into Steel rebuff. He's able to apply the Steel power up or whatever. He's got the Steel on type damage. Yeah, like, defeating Steel weak content, he's pretty damn effective at, clearly. And of course, the Sync moves up next just does help that too. Like, he does have Haymaker with dupes invested, but even without dupes invested, I mean, the Sync move up next does kind of, you know, helps carry the damage a bit more in the regard of not having Haymaker, so that's cool. And I have to just use Stoutland and Steven again for just the double Steven fun. Oh, I love it. I love using this character. So fun. I wanted to do a Steven solo, but frankly, without the EX roll, he doesn't really take the damage too well. His defensive stats just are not really up to par otherwise. And I also don't have his cookie, sadly. The cookie takes 6,000 something points to get, man. I had to invest all my points into Lily, alright, her event. I wanted to just get that one out of the way. So, clearly there's some regret there. Whatever, it's fine, I guess. It's just fine. Whatever. Anyway, there it was. There was the 1 out of 5 EX Arc Suit Steven showcase. Again, I really do think Steven's one of those characters that you want to invest the EX roll in as soon as possible. Like, I think he's functioned so much better with it. Like, even if you don't want to give Steven dupes, or if you just wanted to put him at 2 out of 5 or something like that. Like, if you want to do minor investment into Steven, I would say the first thing you should opt to do is the EX roll. Like, that really helps him so much. The defensive stats and support EX are so good for him. Trust me on that, and we'll see that when we actually get to that 3 out of 5 EX roll showcase, but whatever. I love Arc Suit Steven, really great character, very, very good, of course, beginner-friendly support. His enhancement's good for a lot of physical characters. His, general usability is still really good as well with the defensive buffs, the defensive debuffs, and of course, just being able to enhance all steel types, though it's a mostly physical-oriented type anyway, which is kind of defeats the point, but, Summer Tate, Raihan, what's-his-face, Variety Thornton, all of them still benefit from that too, so that's cool. Doesn't really matter to me. Anyway, whatever. If you all enjoyed, leave a like, I guess, subscribe. Never done that before. And yeah, I'll see you in the 3 out of 5 EX rolled Arc Suit Steven showcase. Sorry this took so long to get out.